Okay, so today we're talking about simple and compound interest. That mostly talks about when you put money into a bank or like a savings account. The bank is going to give you interest, which means they're going to pay you a certain amount of money because you are putting your money in their bank. So a lot of times interest is in a percent. So could be 5% interest or 8% interest. And the way you figure out how much interest that you are going to get, that the bank is going to pay you, you have a certain amount of money in your bank, and then they pay you if it's 5% interest. They calculate what is 5% of how much you have in your bank, and then that's what they pay you in addition to what you already have starting off in your bank. So first we're going to talk about simple interest. Okay, simple interest is when you first put your money into the bank, that's called principal. Okay, so principal is when you first deposit money. That is the principal amount. Simple interest is interest that's paid only on the principal. So we'll see what that means in just a minute. The interest rate how you know how much the bank will pay you. Okay, so we use a formula for simple interest. It is I equals PRT. Okay, and that's on your formula chart, so you don't have to memorize it. But let's talk about what each of these letters represent. So I is interest. P is principal. R is the interest rate per year. And T is the time in years. Okay, so that's the formula. Okay, now let's do an example. You deposit $400 in a savings account. The interest rate is 5% per year. So we want to find the interest earned in 6 years. All right, so to solve these problems, you always want to go back to the formula. So you've got I equals PRT, and you want to find the interest. So we want to know what I is. We don't know what I is yet. That's what we're solving for. But it says you deposit $400, so that is the principal that you're putting into the bank. So the principal is 400. R is the interest rate, so that is going to be the percentage, 5%. And T, for time in years, you want to know how much interest you earn in 6 years. So that should be 6. Okay? Now, the way we solve for interest is we multiply principal times rate times time. Now, whenever you have a percentage and you're multiplying, you have to change that to a decimal. So the way you change that to a decimal is, well, we want to know I. We're going to be multiplying 400 times 5%. Okay, you're just going to move the decimal 2 places to the left. So 0.05 is the decimal form of 5% times 6. Okay, all right, so let's go ahead and multiply 400 times 0.05. 5 times 0 is 0, 5 times 0 is 0, 5 times 4 is 20, placeholder, and then zeros. Okay, so 20, and 20 times 6 is 120. So the interest paid for 6 years is $120. Okay? Okay, so now we're going to talk about compound interest. Compound interest is when the bank pays interest on the principal and the interest already earned. So if we go back to our first example, so you deposit $400, that's the principal, okay, and we had all the rest of this to get our interest. So after 6 years, if you earn $120 in interest, then that means, okay, for compound interest, you would earn $400. That's the principal you already had in your bank, and you would earn $120. Okay, so the next year that the bank goes to pay interest on what you have in the bank, you would have $400 and $120. So you would have $520 in the bank. Compound interest would use the $520 as the new principal, okay? Simple interest every year, you have the $400 and then you earn interest. And then you still have $400 principal, but now you have some interest in there, but you still only earn money on the principal amount. Compound interest, it's compounding every single year. It's getting bigger and bigger and bigger every year because your interest is being added into your principal. Okay, so the balance is the principal plus the interest. So balance is the principal plus the interest. Okay. So now we have a formula that looks like this. A equals P1 plus R to the power of T. Now I know that looks crazy, but that's in your formula chart. All we have to do is take what's given to us and plug it into our formula. But let's make sure we know what all of these represent. A is the amount in the account. Okay, P again is principal. R is the interest rate. T is the number of interest periods. Okay, so now let's look at an example. You deposit $400 in an account that earns 5% interest compounded annually. which means once per year. So we want to know what is the balance in your account after 4 years. Okay, so we want to know what is the balance, what is the amount in the account. If you put in $400, and then the parentheses means multiply, so 1 plus the 5% interest rate, so again that's going to be 0.05, and the number of interest periods would be the 4 for 4 years. Okay, so now anytime that you have compound interest formula, you're going to add these together, then do the exponent, then you're going to multiply by the 400 or whatever's in front, because we're going to follow PEMDAS. So parentheses, then exponents, then multiplication. Okay, so we still have the 400, and then 1 plus 0.05. Well, we can do that over here. 1 plus 0.05. We have to make sure we line up the decimals. Would be 1.05. Okay. 1.05 to the 4th power. Okay. Whenever we have an exponent, remember that means multiply by itself. Okay. So we're going to multiply 1.05 times itself 4 times. So that's 1.05 times 1.05. Okay. Whatever we get, then we're going to multiply it by 1.05 again, and then 1.05 again. Okay. 5 times 5 is 25. 5 times 0 is 0 plus 2, 2. 5 placeholder. 5 times 0, 0. 0 times 0, 0. 1 times 0, 0. 2 placeholders. 1 times 5, 1 times 0, 1 times 1. Okay, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 decimal places. Alright, now what we could do is add this to another 1.1025, because that would be 1.05 times 1.05 again. Okay, so we can say 1.1025, 1.1025, and add them together. $2.205, and now we need to just multiply by 400. So 400 times 2.205. Okay, so I'm going to do that up here so I have more room. Oops. 2.205. 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 2 placeholders. 4 times 5 is 20. 4 times 0 is 0 plus 2 is 2. 4 times 2 is 8. 4 times 2 is 8. So we get $882. All right.